Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. I'm your host, Bob Pace. And it's a warm welcome because you found me because you're looking for help with something called CPS. Now, CPS to a lot of people may mean a lot of different things. But to me, what CPS is I call the Child Protection System. It's a government entity that is supposed to protect our children from neglect or physical abuse or mental abuse. Neglect or abuse is what they're supposed to protect us from. And it was an act of Congress in the '60s that requested social services to set up a group of social workers to protect our children. Today, 1,000 children go unreported that should have been reported that being some harm to them. 1,000 children in the United States are being harmed by somebody. Now, that doesn't mean it's a lot of people, but 1,000 children in the United States is a lot of people, one too many. Anyway, they're supposed to do that. Now, the way it's supposed to work is there's two kinds of reporting on it. There's one that's called a professional reporter, and one that is called the lay person reporter. Okay. Now, the professional person is required by law to report any child abuse or child neglect. Now, what is child abuse? Child abuse is either physical or mental harm to the child. For instance, a child should never be shaken or slammed hard against the wall or beat up. There should be no welt marks or hand marks. They should not use weapons or anything else against the child for disciplinary matters. The best form of discipline is the timeout discipline. Now, a lot of parents sometimes are against that. They think a spank on the butt or whatever it is. If it doesn't leave a welt mark and doesn't leave a bruise, then yes, you can still do corporate punishment. But the best kind, and try this out, is a timeout. Now, timeout is something you've probably seen in a lot of football games. You watch a game, and the coach will call a timeout, a player will call a timeout. What it is to regroup and think things out. Well, that happens when people are angry. And that's one of the most common problems we have when people are angry. You get angry at each other. Husband, wife yells or shouts. Well, this yelling and shouting can harm a child. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. Now, I was watching a show called Heartland. It's a Canadian show. It's going to do 20 seasons. I'm watching season 18. I think 19 just completed. But the other day on season 18, they had a show. And the daughter of the show, her name is Lindsay, and her mom, Amy. Anyway, she was being ignored at a country fair, a county fair, what it was. And she felt really alone. And she was explaining there's arguments with the parents. It was about a beef. One group of parents was using this beef and it was outclassing the other group of parents. It was all about a beef. And she said, I don't like parents arguing. It hurts me. That is part of the problem that we have in childcare. People are being hurt. So a timeout is a beautiful instrument. I live at the beach. I'm broadcasting this live from Surf City, USA, south of Los Angeles on the west coast of California. I'm 3 blocks from the beach. And a simple walk outdoors and back would be a good time out. Now, you wonder if it's safe or not to do so. Well, at nighttime, it's not safe. You need to walk with somebody. And again, I don't want you to send your children down to the woods or the mountains or the park. I'm more referring to parents. Parents need to walk. And yes, you got to be safe. It's well lit area. But if you walk and breathe, you'll settle down. The problem is if you're arguing with your spouse and you're arguing in front of the children, it hurts the children. They don't like to see arguments. They don't like to see adults pick sides. So I'm telling you, a timeout is a good thing. Now, with children, you usually do it in the home and you usually tell them, go to your room for 5 minutes, then come back and see me. We'll talk about it. Or go sit down and think about it. No TV or nothing. Just sit down and think about it. That quells the problem. And if adults did that, there'd be far less anger towards children, have far less anger. But make sure you talk to the child about your timeout, what the reason is. The easy way to do it is that now that you've had 5 minutes to think about it, do you know why I'm angry or upset with you? And then the child will usually tell you that, yeah, I took crayons and drew on the wall and I wasn't supposed to. Okay, well, see, that's how you do a timeout. You kind of avert a problem. You don't sit there, grab the kid, shake him, and throw him against the wall and stomp on him. That's not right thing to do for a timeout. Also, that's physical injury and that will hurt the child. That will hurt the child. So I'm telling you that you need to use timeouts, not force. And adults should use it too. At the workplace, there's a lot of anger there. Your husband, wife have a lot of anger. You two could do separate walks in separate directions and come back and meet at a point and say, honey, let's take a 5-minute timeout and come back and meet here. And so each of you can go your separate ways and come back to where here is designated. And then you can talk about it. At work, same thing. I'm taking a 5-minute break here. I need to think this out. We are angered too much at each other. So one of the things you have is called the mental abuse, and it's sometimes overlooked. The physical sometimes will arrive when you're arguing, and you don't want to be physical against your children. A little child is developing their brain. You don't want to shake a little infant because their head will bounce and their brain will bounce. You don't want to slam them against the wall because it hurts. And you don't want to use a wooden spoon or a stick or anything else because it hurts. The idea is you want to correct a behavior, not hurt a person. Hurt is the worst thing you can do. So anyway, there's that kind of physical abuse. There could be also a timeout, a punishment by having a person stand on sharp rocks. There was a girl that came to my room here a lot, and she's an adult now, but when she was a teenager, she was in foster care. And they constantly had her go out and stand on sharp rocks in her bare feet for hours. Well, that hurt her. That's not a way of correcting behavior or punishment. So you got to be careful of physical abuse because that's wrong. Now, mentally abuse, as I was saying, was argument there. Now, neglect is when a child isn't taken care of. So let's say there's no supervision, allow them to run out in the street and get run over by a car. Well, you have to supervise your children. You have to have a fenced-in yard. You have to way of controlling them running about, especially young children. Also, they need to be clothed and bathing. They should be able to take a bath every day because they get dirty outside. One of the things is with young children is they come in and take a bath before dinner and get cleaned up. Also, the children need to be fed. Don't send a child to bed with no food as a punishment. That's neglect. A child is entitled to eat food, and it should be enough food that they're not starving. Now, I know times are tough right now, but don't punish your children about that. I myself would make a sacrifice and maybe skip a meal, but you shouldn't with the children. Those are things called neglect. If it's cold outside, they need to wear a jacket. They come to school with a t-shirt and pants and it's 20 degrees below outside, then that's wrong. Again, that's neglect. So those two areas, the Congress people felt it was necessary to have someone supervise the well-being of children. Now, they've been doing a lot with the animals. It seems like we had to take care of animals long before we had our children. See, it's been going on for over 200 years, since the colonial days of the 1600s. It's been going on more like 400 years. I should keep saying 200. It's 400 years that we've tried to, there's issues of children being neglected or abused and in the 400 years. But it wasn't to the 1960s when they formed this social workers that CPS. The only problem is they didn't have laws right away. The laws didn't come into the 70s. And then in the 80s and 90s, they got good at it, but then they got too good where they suddenly are making money. When they started making money in the 2000, they started doing some strange things. I hate to say it, that 50% of the CPS are corrupt. They are corrupt. And it's sad. It is sad. Because you're going to a government agency and you think they'll be fair with you. Too many times, and there, I've been listening to a show that Vincent recently broadcast on Facebook about CPS. Parents and even good lawyers are not aware that in order for CPS to take your child, they have to have a good reason and they have to prove it. That child has to be in imminent danger, not, well, if they do something about that, they may be attacked 2 days from now or 3 years. No, it's imminent danger, meaning if a father is sitting there chasing a child around the house with a baseball bat, he's going to be apprehended and taken in. That's imminent danger. But if they come because they've heard reports, and as I told you, there's two kinds of reporters. There's laymen and professional reporters. Now, they will call in, and most likely they won't call, they'll call the child protection or the police. They should call 911 because a record's made. Too many times people call the police or the social workers and they're bad and corrupt. The information gets lost. Information gets lost. So that's what I recommend. That's what I recommend, is that you call 911. And again, professionals are trained, and by law, they have to report it. Professional people, examples of them are doctors and nurses, administrators in the doctor's field. There's a school where it's administrators, the teachers, the counselors, the nurse, those people, coaches. They all have to, because by law, they have to report it. There's also caregivers and firemen and policemen. Again, they report law. They take special classes to learn all about how to recognize neglected abuse and how to call in about neglected abuse. So it's important if there's 1,000 cases that are going missing. But what has happened now is the social services CPS, the child protection system, and they'll have different names. They'll have the Department of Children and Family Services, or they'll call it the Cabinet, or they call it Child Protection Services, or they call it something else. It's all the same. Anything that deals with protecting our children is the child protection system. So these professionals are supposed to call it in. They take a class in it and they learn how to recognize it and how to call it in. The only problem is only 50% of them are right. The other 50% are wrong. That's how bad the failure rate is. That's how bad the failure rate is. Now, the other kind of person are the lay person. They're your family, your friends, your relatives, the guy up the street, the guy at the drugstore, the guy at the gas station, at the library. Those people are your lay person. And they will report it somewhat good, somewhat bad. I don't know. But they only write about 25% of the time. It's pretty bad. 25% of the time. But that's how these cases are reported. The only problem is now CPS has learned the value of money. They get $20,000 per child per month to maintain a child. It doesn't cost that much. It's an astronomical amount. Plus, they embezzle money. There is a case right now in Richmond, Kentucky, where $1 million is missing. Now, they found a social worker that had $600,000, and he embezzled funds, and he'll be prosecuted. Where the other 400, they don't know. They don't know where the other 400 is. And so you can't trust the social workers. You can't trust the CPS system. And I'm afraid the police are just as bad. 50% of the police are bad, and 50%. And you probably say, well, that's a high number. Well, I've talked to over 2,600 people in the last 2 years, over 2 years. And one thing they all said in common is that CPS was corrupt and the police were corrupt. I've only had one social worker in 2 years that came on my show to talk. She seemed like an okay social worker, but I constantly invite any social workers to come aboard. But you're really in a real bad area. That's why you need an attorney. Attorney is going to help you get out of your mess and get your child back. And right off the bat, you're probably saying, I can't afford an attorney, or I got a court appointed attorney. Well, first of all, you got to get the right kind of attorney. And that's what I'm here to help you with. Now, I work for an attorney named Vincent W. Davis. He's well known as a fighter in CPS, and he's done remarkable getting thousands and thousands of children back to the families. Just recently, he informed me, and the guy that he was helping us talk to me on this live stream here, David Halago. He is from the Santa Maria, the town of Santa Maria, and his case was in Santa Barbara County. And Vincent Davis, he retained Mr. Davis as his attorney. And it was a hard battle. It was really a hard battle. And anyway, Vincent Davis, after about 9 months, won the case, and his daughter's going to be returned to him in 45 days, he hopes. You never know with CPS what they'll pull up their sleeve. But there was agreement from the judge, and the judge complimented David and said, you will get your daughter back. You did a tremendous job, and I'm sorry. What they did is they made allegations that weren't true, and they lied. And that's the problem. They will lie, and they can't embezzle. They lie, embezzling funds. So having an attorney did help David. I had to get one because I tried the first year without an attorney, and I'm pretty good at fighting, but it wasn't Mr. Davis. He got my 2 boys back. Lost my daughter because the social worker took upon herself to coach and help my daughter divorce her parents. And you probably say, divorce? Well, yeah. State of California, if you're 12 years old, you can divorce your mom and dad. Not only do you divorce your mom and dad, but you divorce the whole family. The grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, anybody, the brothers and sisters, you divorce them all. And so our daughter, who's 12 years at the time, was coached and talked and being adopted, changed her birth certificate. I didn't know they could do that. She lied about it, but what they did is they sealed our birth certificate. I know because I asked to see it. They sealed our birth certificate, meaning that she got a new one, and her adopted parents went in there on the new one. The adopted parents went on the new one. Also, she sealed her real birth certificate, so she's born by adopted parents, had nothing to do with her first 12 years of her life. That's a hard thing to swallow. I'll never forget the day the judge did that. That was the last time I saw my daughter. I've seen pictures. I encourage her sons to see her and other family members, but she doesn't want to see me as well as my other daughters, and that's only because of rumors they heard. I mean, I have 6 children. I'm very blessed. And I had children later in my 60s. I'm blessed there too. I have a very young wife. She's 15 years younger than me. But she's a very religious person, and I think religion does help a lot. You got to have something because to get through it is so hard. It's so hard. Mm. Now, feel free to ask me questions. You're in here, and I'm here to help you. All you have to do is ask me a question. I don't bite. I listen, And if it takes more than one session, I'm here. I'm here 3 times a day. I'm on at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So those are my show hours, 3 hours a day. Now, I want to read some of these comments I just saw come in here. The first comment is from Get Go 420. I hear you, brother. Okay, keep up the fight. I'm a war veteran with integrity and just trying to live my life happy with no problems. And these corrupt cops and sentinels and the state social workers. Yeah, I know how you feel. I don't know where you're from, but it'd be nice if you tell me your city and state. He further says they do lie. The cops will go anywhere to create work, and all they bring is aggression. They never listen to anyone, and they're all wrong. They'll never admit they're wrong, but they'll create crime. Well, I would say 50%. I wouldn't say it's 100%. Even though I've talked to over 2,600 people, they get it right 50% of the time. 50%. Well, those are the professionals. I think you're right. The social workers and the cops are wrong 50% of the time. It's 50%. He further says they tried to take my child because someone from another state knew the mother of my child. I never seen this person. They have dementia, and all they had was my address, no name. Cops lie, 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 lie. Oh, I know, I know. I appreciate yours giving me thanks. I will keep up fighting. I've been doing this now for over 2 years. Hello, Sister Sherry Taylor. I don't like CPS to remove my children without paperwork. That's very true. I believe you. What part of the world are you from? I like to know the city and the state, and if you're from outside the United States, your country. Yes, this is a worldwide live stream. I have people like this past week, I've had Heather Stewart from Scotland that's been on my show the last couple days. I have a nice lady from South Africa. And then I have a mom in Leeds, England. I have people from around the world, 30 countries. And they've all had bad experiences with CPS and the police. And I believe that they'll take your children. They're not supposed to, but that's their MO. That's their MO to take the children. You're in Oregon. Okay, great. Gecko 420 is in Oregon. And they came 3 times and I had to eventually send my kid out of the state with his mother just to keep the state from stealing my baby. Wow. Now, how's he going to see the father? How's he going to see the father? And Sherry's from Detroit, Michigan. So we have Oregon and we got Michigan. And Sherry, it says, is in the current process of you're currently in the process of something. I can't read it because one of my characters is sitting over it. Oh, you're in the process of appeal, Sherry. Well, I hope the appeal goes well. I will help you with your appeal. You need to tell me more. Now, G Cool from Oregon says they came and my child was sleeping, showed them my baby monitor. The child was sleeping. They said my baby could be dead. And they said that that would not leave out, will come in if I don't wake my baby up. Did they have a warrant? There's only three ways they can get in your castle. Either you give them permission to come in the house, two, there's intimate danger going on, like the child is being beaten by the father or the mother, or there's danger to the child or something. Three, there's a warrant that has to be issued by the judge. Otherwise, don't answer your door. Don't talk to them. You need an attorney present. That is your key to success in your CPS case, is to have an attorney present. But then you're going to tell me I can't afford one. Why? I got to answer. I got ideas. I got ways I can help you get an attorney. I can't believe you got a monitor that show the baby's vital signs and they think he's dead. Wow. What kind of appeal are you trying to do, Sherry Taylor? Good, cool. It says, I had to wake my baby up, bring him to the cops just to not get shot in the back for absolutely nothing, but living honestly my whole life. Well, uh, the police are only supposed to be helping protect the social workers. They're not supposed to enforce the social workers' wishes. They're supposed to be protect and proudly serve. They proudly protect and proudly serve. I know what policeman's oath is. And a lot of them don't do that. They think they can enforce the CPS rules and they try to be Billy bad people. And it's sad. It's sad. But that's the problem. The key to success will be getting an attorney. And I have one now. His name is Vincent W. Davis. And he can be reached at his office at 888-888-6582. When you call the office, make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell him again, Bob Pace sent me. And that will help you with trying to figure out how much the retainer is going to cost and so forth. Now, he works out of LA County. His office is in Arcadia. His retainer for LA County is $5,000. Typically, most attorneys have a retainer like that every which way. Now, his hourly rate is $550. Now, I've seen that range from $300 to $1,000. But that gives you a ballpark price of what it costs to retain an attorney. But you got to make sure you get the right attorney. It's so important when you're looking for attorneys that you spend the time to resolve one, especially if you're going to pay them good money. So that is your success to your CPS case. And thank you for the emojis, the two thumbs up. I appreciate that. Custody appeals. Okay, custody. So you must have gone through a divorce or something. Now, G. Cool from Oregon says there was no warrant. The work, the way they work the way it's supposed to do. They have drawn guns on me before being uh, a gun owner because I'm a veteran. While they were here for nothing. Well, that's the mistake that a lot of policemen are making. There is a apartment complex in Gainesville, Florida. there's a reported domestic violence. Well, the sheriff came out, and instead of approaching what was suspected, he thought there. Okay, I was sent a message. One thing I neglect to tell everybody is that I was away in the latter part of December and January and February. I just have come back after 2 years and 5 months. I took some time off. But my computer broke the other day and I have a new part that's being ordered. It isn't here yet. So my AC brick and the cord is being replaced. The cord I originally have, when I plug it in, it won't charge because the cord is so frail that the wiring's showing. And it's sad because it's only 6 months old. I've never seen a wiring go out like that. But it went out. It went out there. And so I need two devices to do this CPS that I try to do. One is a phone, which I have, and that's where my Vonage, which is the phone application I use, that I can have people call in and I can call out and look up things. The other device is your computer, and that's where I put SteamYard in, and I can see myself and so forth. And it has a lot better. I don't have to keep adjusting the picture. And again, I apologize, but not to fret, because you can still be on my show live if you just text me a message or email me a message with your first and last name, your city and your state or country, your phone number, and your email. And there I'll contact my show producer, Grace, who will get you on the show. Who will get you on the show. Now, CPS is a hard thing for most of us. It was hard for me. I speak from firsthand experience. I speak from talking to over 2,600 people. I speak to experience from talking to every 50 states and 30 countries around the world. That's a lot of input I've gotten. And one thing that are very common is that the CPS entities and the police are all bad. Now, I can't say it's 100% bad. I think it's only 50% bad. I think you have a 50-50 chance of getting treated fairly and getting your kids back. But in my case, it wasn't until I got an attorney, and it was very costly. And it took me a long time. I'm still very sad and hurt by it. This is a hard thing to go through. Now, please write me a comment. Sherry wants to get an update. My kid's father passed. What led to CPS get involved was during COVID. And I just given birth to my daughter, and they said I wasn't feeding properly, which was not true. That's terrible. COVID was a terrible time for CPS. They really abused children. They really abused it. Now, Google 420 from Oregon says, I'm going to devote my life to working against the problem. I've sort of done that. If you think about it, almost 2.5 years so far, because people are dealing with this in every state, almost every country. And for this now, I'm moving to Montana because the red flag, the law rules are what the used to escalate all this. Okay, they are all tools they install into law enforcement and abuse them for CPS and to harass the citizens that oppose them. Well, what we need to do, since Congress enacted this in the 60s and gave us laws to go by in the 70s, what we need to do is have Congress create a board of directors or supervisors that can be a watchdog. And if someone has a complaint, there should be an easy way that someone can complain. They also, anytime money's sent out, it should be accounted for. That's what the IRS does. When you work, they want to see where you spent your money and how you spent it. They wanted to see if maybe more additional taxes owed on it. That goes true for CPS because they're right now, the guy that is in Kentucky embezzled $6 million. That's not small chump change. Now, G Cool 420 says, I'm an IT consultant. I know what an IT consultant is, and cybersecurity agent. I'll use my skills to help everyone with them from the underground because they're doing dark things and only shedding the light on them will help. You're right. Expose them. But we still have to go before Congress. Now, a congressperson from Georgia, Nancy Schaefer, was murdered, and she's my age, fighting CPS. She wanted to get rid of the whole system. Now, I don't want to get rid of the whole system. I want to work in the system and have it corrected. That's why I want DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, to do their job. That's a new government agency created by the new president, one of his campaign promises, that he would investigate sloppy use of government funds, meaning people that are embezzling the funds or people that are getting paid money and they don't exist, or paid money they don't qualify. There's a case of a woman in her 30s, I think it is, that makes over $100,000 a year, which is a good money depending on where you live at. But she also gets food stamps. Well, that's wrong. How can you get food stamps making $100,000 a year? But she does. So they're trying to investigate her and many others. They're also trying to investigate CPS to see where the money's spent, and they are doing it. I know Orange County is where my case was. They're doing it. And thank you, G Cool. You're doing great on this show. YouTube numbers lie, and they cook the books to keep shows like yours down. Have faith in people. We have faith in you. We all this together. Well, yeah, I'm not afraid to say anything. Nancy Schaefer was she was a great woman, and you can look her up. Look up the woman, Nancy Schaefer, that was fighting CPS. They're going to say she committed suicide or a husband murdered her, which is the case. Her children will say that wasn't the case. And she was a Congress. You see, you need an act of Congress. Act of Congress started this myth, and act of Congress has got to fix this myth. CPS is corrupt. As I was telling the earlier part of my show, when Vincent was talking on Facebook, he was talking about how CPS automatically takes your child when they don't have the grounds to do so. They abuse the system. They abuse the system. Anyway, I'll be glad to get my computer back because I have a bigger screen on. Plus, the way I position myself, I look like I weigh about 40 or 50 pounds more. One of my regulars came and said, Bob, you're fat. I said, no, I'm not fat. It's my position of my neck and head and everything. So, anyway, let's see what Sherry Taylor says. I'm trying to figure out how to go with getting help with dealing with CPS. Well, coming to my show 3 times a day, a week will help. And what gives them the right to keep a child from the mother? There's no right. Sherry Taylor, do you have an attorney, a paid attorney, or do you have a court appointed attorney, or do you have a pro bono attorney? Now, a paid attorney is an attorney that you pay that's qualified in that area of expertise. They should have dependency law, family law, and juvenile law to practice. I have one. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He has over 40 years of fighting CPS and gotten kids back. He's a trial attorney. He's educated and passed the bar exam and is a good candidate to have defend you. And he's the guy that you should think about. Now, I'm not saying there's not other attorneys you can go after. I always say look up 5 attorneys, ask 2 important questions to 3 attorneys, and then meet with those 3 attorneys. The questions for these attorneys is question 1. Are you trained and educated in criminal law? Dependency law, family law, and juvenile law? The answer is yes. Then you get ready for the next question. Have you ever, after your case is closed, have you ever sued CPS and won? Well, if they are yes to both those questions, you got yourself a candidate. Then you got to figure out the money and chemistry and see if it's good to work with them. Now, the money is going to be a factor, so I understand that. That's why I say don't limit it. You want to get all the attorneys, look for pro bono attorneys. But you got to make sure you're comparing apples with apples. And all the fees are up front. You don't want any fees that are suddenly surprised. So hopefully, Sherry Taylor, you're hearing what I'm having to say, and see cool 420. Thank you guys so much for asking the questions. I have about 15 minutes left of the show. Um, okay. Well, you need support groups, but you need an attorney. And I don't know what kind of attorney you have. I don't know if you have a court-appointed attorney, a paid attorney, or a pro bono attorney. And pro bono means they're for free. They don't charge you anything. A court-appointed attorney is not very good. They're just fresh out of law school, and most likely all they'll have is regular attorney laws. They won't specialize. And on top of that, um, they're so busy they don't have time for you, and it shows. When you go meet your court-appointed attorney, they want to meet in the hall outside the courtroom. That's the only time you can meet them. There's no privacy or anything for them, and they need to um, get back home. Um, a good attorney will help you, Shirley. A good attorney will. Gee, cool. They're also trying to call me and force injection into my baby. Why would they're not doctors. The only thing that kept the cops from taking the baby was that I gotta find the comments because they got buried. Okay. Sherry's is the court appointed attorney. That's not good. Hello, Bernard Shriven. We just got a CPS caseworker at our door on Monday and said that they want to go over a complaint. It's freaking us out. Well, take a big breath. Hopefully, well, you weren't supposed to open the door. Most people don't know that. They are coming back Friday. 2 kids didn't state which or both wanted to see us. I don't understand by 2 kids. That's tomorrow is Friday. Either you talk to an attorney tonight and have them there representing you tomorrow, or you need to take the kids to grandma or some other place and have them safely, because they'll come back tomorrow and they'll intimidate you and forcefully take the kids from you or have the policeman forcefully. They can't do that. They can't do that, Bernard Shriver. And where are you located, by the way? Where are you located? Now, G Cool 420 said at 643, by us getting rid of the retirement requirement, I agree. Not all these people are bad. The good ones are great. We need the services, but they're now compromising and need changes. I agree. I agree with you. Bernard, who says they're going to come on Friday, you need to be very careful because you're allowed your constitutional rights to have an attorney represent you. You have a constitutional rights, your attorney can represent you. Now I'm on again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and again at 1 p.m. and again at 6 p.m. and that's all Pacific Standard Time, the West Coast of California. But you weren't supposed to answer the door. What you can do is you have a camera, you can see what's on the camera, or a peephole, you can see what's out there. But you gotta be careful. Too many people are killed, and nothing is good that happens when the door is open. Nothing's good. Now, Bernard says your 2 kids didn't state which or both they want to see us. Oh boy, they're being vague. GQ 420s agree about the Congress. This is actually making me consider local office when I move. When the cops come back here, I never answer the door. They have to leave, never open the door. Good point. Shirley Taylor, consider her attorney's court appointed. Well, that's part of your problems. That's part of your problems. Now, G Cool 420 at 648 says, great advice all around. Jared Taylor says, I really can't afford it, and it's the court appointed, and I don't know how to get a proper one. Well, sometimes with court appointed attorney, you have to go through 2 or 3 or 4 or 12 to get the right one. If it isn't fair and they're doing their job, then you can replace them. You have to go to the court appointed office and ask for another attorney. And you got to tell them what your reason is. You have to put a reason. You got to try that out. Now let me see if the problem is when I got knocked out of the room, all these other messages come up from other rooms. So I have to weed through. Okay, there's Bernard back again. He says he has 2 kids and they want to talk us. He's in Michigan. Well, be very careful, Bernard, because you need to have an attorney present. They're going to try, and I wouldn't meet them in the house. I tell people to meet at McDonald's or Starbucks or the library, the city library. Those are safe places because they have rooms assigned for open discussion and so forth. And I wouldn't leave your kids with them. In fact, I'd put your kids with your mom and dad or other relatives because they'll end up being taken. Okay, good. You refused on Monday and set a date for Friday with them. That's all right. But make sure, Bernard, you have an attorney with you. Well, you need to know what the complaint is. If you have an attorney, he can get that information for you. Yes, they do lie, Bernard. They do lie. I agree with you. They need a warrant, and I'm going to ask them to record them. But here's the thing that makes it easier. Don't open the door. If you have a camera or you have a whole peep, you can look through it. You can look through it. You can look through it. Now, G Cool from Oregon says, I had to get cameras and a doorbell because they were trying to come in and lie about everything, able to hear me. When the way that you talk to them, they'll use it against you. They say you don't like cops. You don't want to say that, You don't want to be personal with them. Don't talk to them. And if you happen to meet them outside, ask them right off the bat, is this regarding a legal matter? If it's regarding a legal matter, then you tell them you need to have your attorney present. There's nothing wrong with that. You're enforcing your constitutional rights. That you need, attorney representing you so you can speak on your behalf before you say anything. The reason why I'm saying that, you don't want to miss up anything that's happening. Now, I have about 5 minutes left of this live stream. And I've been trying to help various people tonight. G Cool started it off from Oregon. And yes, you got to be careful what you say. Things can be used against you. So when you have the social worker, the police in there, don't say anything. Just say you cannot talk to your attorneys present. It's your constitutional right for all legal matters. This is a legal matter. You're right. You have a right to representation. Because that's where it gets screwed up in the beginning. Parents don't know it. The social worker says, I need that child. The policemen are standing there as jolly green giants with their combat boots and their uh, vest and all the ornament. Very intimidating. They're supposed to be protecting the social workers, protecting the public, keeping peace, not intimidate. Not intimidate. So it's very important you have that attorney because an attorney will be a success. Now, besides answering those two questions, one, if they have a background in juvenile law, dependency law, and family law, um, okay. Bernard says something more. We are good people. Our kids have autism, so it doesn't surprise us. Yes, problems with disabilities are mistakenly, and I'm so sorry about the Bernard. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. I'm trying to find out Sherry Taylor. She has been on the show, and she was in what city was she? She was in Michigan, I think it was. I know G Cool is in Oregon, and Shirley is Detroit, Michigan. That's right. Shirley's Detroit, Michigan. Um, no, shoot, I missed that. I'll find it here. I'll find it. Bernard Shriver Jr. I'm trying to find out. Oh, they're from Michigan too. So we have two people from Michigan. And I'm so glad all you called in. I do have to end my show, Bernard, but I'll be on again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, again at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and again in the evening at 6 p.m. And I want to help you. And it can be helped. You just need that attorney is the key to it. So there'll be a short video to watch when I end this thing. Please watch it. And, don't stress. I'm here. I will help you. I'll help you get that attorney. And hopefully Mr. Davis is the man that can help you. He's really good at what he does. So please watch the video. Wish y'all and a good night. And thank you all for talking to me, and we'll talk later. This is Bob Pace signing off. Watch the video.
vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted, and if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last one.